Thank you, man. How's everybody doing today? It's nice over here in the shade, right? A little cooler. My name is Trooper Seth Little. I am the Troop C Senior Diver, and I will be your guide on this underwater adventure. This is Shannon. She is our interpreter today. Thank you, Shannon. And I think, what was it? Ozzy said you have the skills of a mongoose and the reflexes of a squirrel or something like that. But it sounds better because he says it like this. Skills of a mongoose. Right, Ozzy? Is that how that goes?
Banjo.
Yeah, okay. I'm going to introduce you to the rest of my team here. We have Tech Sergeant Neil Case. And then we got, hopping up that ladder there just because he's happy to be here, URT member Mike Hennessy. And we got the Big E from Troop D, Trooper Craig Evil. All right, while those guys are getting ready, I'm going to give you a little history of the New York State Police dive team. Our first logged dive as a dive team was in 1932, which makes us the oldest. And we are also the largest public safety dive team in the United States. Now in 1932, they were dealing with hard helmets, the metal collars, the lead shoes, the belt, the canvas outfit. Altogether, that weight was well over 100 pounds, okay? But they were tasked to go find evidence that was in water, and they went in and they did it. Now, at that time, we didn't have a formal school, so what we did is we used members that were trained in the Navy, Navy-trained divers. But in 1943, there was a fellow by the name of Jacques Cousteau. Jacques Cousteau invented what we now call scuba. Scuba is, tell me if I say this right, Greg, an acronym. I always say an acronym, and they laugh at me every time. But anyhow, an acronym stands for self-contained underwater breathing apparatus, is what it stands for. And that took all the weight, 100 pounds, and it condensed it down to about 40 pounds or so. So divers could move through the water a lot easy. Now in 1957, the New York State Police dive team decided we're going to adopt this as our preferred method of dive. In 1958, they sent some members down to the Navy dive school because they wanted to learn from the best. They took all the lessons that they learned down there when they went through the school. They brought it back up to Albany. We now have our own URT dive school, which consists of 10 weeks of intensive training. We usually start with, the group that we start with this last school, we had 30 people. We only graduated 15. So in order to get where these guys are, you don't just have to show up, you have to graduate and make it. So let's give these guys a hand because they did. Now the first thing that you do before you go in the water is you find yourself a dive buddy. These guys are checking each other over, they're making sure that their gear is working, because if equipment fails, you always want somebody in the water with you to have your back. Are you guys ready to dive?
We are ready.
Okay.
I just want to set the record straight.
Yeah.
I think you were actually saying like an acronym
Okay.
or something.
All right.
Like that.
Well, hey, Mike could do this if he wanted to.
Much better this time, though. Much better.
All right.
But we are ready to get in the pool.
Okay. All right. So, do you need anything in order to get in that pool, or are you good?
Well, a countdown would be nice.
Okay. He wants a countdown. All right. So, when I say go, we're going to count down from what, Sarge? I can't go too high.
You can start at 3.
I can't even say in an acronym, so,
No, 3's all right.
Okay, 3's good? All right, here we go. So, when I say go, let's count down from 3. Go! 3, 2, 1! Yes, Sarge?
I mean, it is a smaller crowd, and that was okay.
Yeah.
But, maybe a little more enthusiasm will be just right.
Okay, so can we have a little more enthusiasm, okay? I want to get these guys in the water so we can continue this. And then you can see the real cool show, sort of, right? All right. When I say go, start from 3. Go!
3, 2, 1!
All right. They are in the water. And the first thing that you will notice is that when these guys are in the water, they're not going up, they're not going down, they're basically staying static. That is called neutral buoyancy, and that is actually the sign of an advanced diver. Beginner divers, they will be floating up, they'll be floating down, they'll be having a hard time remaining steady. These guys are good at it. Some of the equipment that they have a mask that is on their face. It gives a layer of protection to their eyes. So they have a regulator in their mouth. That regulator supplies air, which is coming out of a first stage, which is attached to the tank. Now there's 3,000 pounds of compressed air in that tank. So how do you get that 3,000 pounds into your lungs without blowing it up? That comes out of the first stage. The first stage takes that 3,000 pounds and reduces it down to 145, which enables the regulator to provide air to the diver on demand. Now, the tank is connected to a BCD. That BCD right there, where you see the flaps on there, that's actually a bladder. He can add air or he can take air out of there. He can add weight to the sides there, weight pouches integrated. And what that allows him to do is maintain that neutral buoyancy. Okay, if you add air, you go up. If you take air, you go down. Fun thing about masks. Masks are, when you look at them underwater, when you look through a mask and you see something else, things seem 33% larger and 25% closer. And so if you were ever to know a diver and they said to you, I was diving down in the Caribbean and I saw a barracuda and it was this big, it's actually more like that big, okay? But we have Tech Sergeant Neil Case in here, and he's a fairly big man. And so to Trooper Mike Hennessy, if Neil's flexing some muscles down there, he might look a little intimidating. No, Mike, do not be intimidated. You are a trooper. Go take care of business. Come on. What are you going to do? All right. Underwater judo. No, that is not one of the things that we learned in dive school. However, it does come into play sometimes. But something else might happen, like a branch or something might hit you while you're underwater. You can't see things, maybe some piece of rock or construction item, and it might take your mask right off your face. So we do not panic. Panic is what hurts divers. All you do is you just put that mask back on your face once you find it, and then you tilt your head back a little bit, create a little space between your upper lip and the bottom of the mask, and you blow out your nose. And the air that comes out of your nose will cause the water that is in the mask to displace. It'll push the water out, and then he will have a clear mask again. Now, speaking of items that might catch our gear, a lot of times, for whatever reason, people like to throw shopping carts over bridges, or there might be some construction rebar or something like that in the water. So we have had divers get caught on items in the water on their BC. So what do? You do not panic. Sergeant Case is going to show you what he does. He takes his gear off. As long as he has that air in his mouth, he knows that he's okay. So he just takes that gear off, he lays it down. If he can figure out what's wrong with it, then he will figure out what's wrong with it and keep going. If he can't, then he will take the last breath from his regulator and he will surface, as he is going to show you right now. He's taking his breath, and then he is blowing bubbles on the way up, and then he comes to the surface. Once he gets up there, he'll figure out, okay, can I go back down? Can I fix what is wrong? He thinks he can. So he will, from the surface, take a surface dive down to his gear, and the first thing that he will do is grab his gear because it's weighted, but he will put the regulator in his mouth, because if you have air, you are okay. So, now, let's say you're down about 132 feet or so, because that is what we dive to as a New York State Police dive team. We are qualified to go down to 132 feet, otherwise known as 5 atmospheres. If you look at the top of this tower right here, this tower is 60 feet tall, okay? Actually looks pretty tall. So add another tower on top of that, and then add 12 feet, okay? That is 132 feet. When you are that deep in the water, you are not seeing anything above you. You're just surrounded by your environment, and sometimes, as long as your dive buddy's there, it's good, but it can seem like, yes, Sarge? Yeah. Right. Tower, 12 feet. Yes, you have done it, and you have taught us to do it and not panic, right? So at 132 feet, believe it or not, equipment does fail, okay? Something can go wrong with the regulator. You might run out of air. So if that happens with your dive buddy, you are going to get his attention, just like Trooper Hennessy will right now. He's getting the attention, he's making noise, and he is saying, hey, I am out of air. So Sergeant Case comes over, maintains control of his regulator. Now the reason he maintains control and just doesn't hand it over is because he's the one that actually has air, okay? The person who just ran out, he might be a little nervous, okay? Just saying. So, Sergeant Case will give him a couple breaths, they'll bring it back, take a couple breaths, and then they'll say, let's abort the dive, let's go up, and they will ascend 132 feet safely, breathing, and then passing, and then breathing, and then passing all the way to the top. Now, a lot of our divers, before they graduate, believe it or not, they can hold their breath at least 200 feet, okay, underwater. Now, we had one graduate this last time that was actually to go, he went beyond 300. It was mighty impressive. So some of these guys that are down 132 feet, they get in trouble, all they'd have to do is just go up. They wouldn't even need to buddy breathe. So that is the type of training that we get. Now, another reason that we might take our pack off, our gear off, is to get small. I don't know how many people remember in 2018 there was a soccer team by the name of the Wild Boars over in Thailand. Okay, but these were younger kids and their coach, and one day they decided to go into caves and explore the caves on their day off. And it started raining really bad. The rain came in, it flooded the caves, it pushed all of those kids and their coach, it pushed them back a total of 2.5 miles into this system, okay? So they're 2.5 miles back into this cave, no light, all right? It's just completely dark, and how are you going to get back there? Well, they needed to bring in divers from all over the world. They brought in rescue divers, they brought in Navy SEALs, and everybody worked together in order to get to these kids. And what they did in order to get to these small crevices, just like Trooper Hennessy is doing right now, he is taking off his pack, and he is keeping the air in his mouth, and he's putting the pack in front of him. He is getting small so that he can fit through that tunnel very easily and not get caught. And you know, the amazing thing is that during that rescue operation, all of those kids and the coaches were all saved. Now, unfortunately, there was a diver who lost his life. But that is the risk that we take, because we know that water is inherently hazardous. It's not natural to breathe under there, but that is what we do. So let's give them a hand. Good job for that. Okay, now to the fun part of the show. One of the reasons that I actually enjoy the team, and it attracted me to it, is I grew up watching Johnny Quest, okay? And so Johnny Quest, they had all these neat things, and one of the things they had were like underwater scooters. Really cool. That is what that yellow piece of equipment is right there. That is a DPV. It is a diver propulsion vehicle. And what that allows us to do is move through the water effortlessly. It pulls us along so that we will use this in order to get to a dive site if a boat is not conducive to it, all right? It will save energy, which saves air, which will allow us to do more work when we get to the place where we have to work, okay? And Trooper Hennessy makes this look really easy. So Trooper Hennessy, let's make it a little harder, okay? I want to see you go through the tunnel with the DPV. Yes, right there. I think you can make it. Come on, let's give him a show. All right, so his face is getting awful close to those propellers right there. But you know what? He made it look easy. Let's give him a hand. Good job, Trooper Hennessy.
Hey, Seth.
Yes, Sergeant.
That actually kind of looked fun from up here.
Yes, it did. I know. He made it look really good job. Good job.
I think I want to try it.
You want to try it?
Yeah.
Sarge, you're about 33% larger.
It only looks like that underwater.
No, we're not underwater.
I can do it.
Do you think that the sergeant can make it through that tunnel with the DPV? Okay, there's a couple people.
Yeah, no, they all thought I could.
They all thought, huh? All right, well, I think some were a little apprehensive, but hey, you are the sergeant.
Yeah, I've got this.
All right, you go for it. All right, Sergeant Case is grabbing the DPV. He is good at the DPV, but I still, looking at the tunnel and looking at his girth, it makes me question. Let's see. Yeah, no, Sarge. No, I'm sorry to say, no. You have an idea? Okay, all right, well, hey, you are the sergeant. Let's see here. Let's see what he does. All right. Oh, no. That's unfair. That's unfair. Well, let's give him a hand. He's very creative. And he jumped the shark at the same time, right? Fantastic. Happy days. Back again. All right. So, the next thing I'm going to tell you about is that it is our bread and butter. It is what we do. We are the underwater recovery team. So we are going into the water specifically to find something or someone, okay? And our motto is, if it's in there, we're going to find it. Yes, Sarge? Yeah, you did good. You want something to eat? Really? All right, Greg, you got a banana? All right, Sarge likes bananas. It's coming down through you, Sarge. All right, so while the Sarge is taking a break there and eating his banana, we say if it's in there, we're going to find it. And the tool of our trade is a line search. And you will see there's a line that Trooper Hennessy is holding. There is a weight that he has in his hand. He is putting that down. And there's a weight on one side and there's a weight on the other. And he is going to tighten that line. All right? Now, our team symbol is the octopus. And so what the octopus does as he moves along the bottom, he makes sure that he touches everything that is around him, right? Everything that is around him, he is making sure that he gets a grasp on it. So that is what we do as divers, especially in water where we can't see. And you know what, Mike, we want to show them real life here, okay? So we're giving you a mask. This is a mask that we use in the novice dive school in the pool that simulates murky water or dirty water. Yes, it's taped off, so you're going to put that on. And after he puts that on, we're going to throw some evidence in there. So what happened is a bank robber came along. He robs a bank with a gun and he takes off on a four-wheeler. During the chase, he throws the gun over a bridge, goes down into the water, and that is what Trooper Mike Hennessy is going to attempt to find right now. And then, further on down, he actually throws the four-wheeler in the water as well. But what you see is Trooper Mike Hennessy, he's going from one weight to the other, holding onto the line and touching everything as he goes along. Now, if the object is small, once he gets to a weight, he's only going to move the weight over just a little bit. If the object is big that he's looking for, then he can move the weight greater distances. But either way, it depends on what you're looking for. And eventually, he will get the weight over far enough that he will have touched every square inch of the bottom of that tank, and he will find what he is looking for. So it looks like just about one more pass. Let's see here, and there it is, the gun. Good job, Mike. All right, so go ahead and get your other mask back on so that you can see what you're doing. And so later on down the river here, the suspect takes a four-wheeler and puts it in the water. Okay, so that four-wheeler is going to go down. Now, I told you before that we came away from hard helmet diving. And about the last 5 or 6 years, we've actually gone back to it a little bit. And one of the reasons that we've gone back to it is for in case of lifting heavy objects off of the ground. We also do overhead dives, okay, where you're actually cutting holes in the ice. And as you're going in the water, you got an overhead environment of ice. All right, or if you do a penetration dive where you're going into a boat or a car or a plane, there's pieces of metal that are over your head. If you're going into a cave, there's something over your head. So you want a little extra protection over your head. And not only do you want that protection, but as you're going into these places, you have a tendency to get maybe a little tangled up. And so you want an endless supply of air. So the air actually comes from the surface and goes into this helmet here. And it also gives us the ability to communicate with the diver and see how he is doing. So, the four-wheeler has been found by Mike, and then Trooper Eberl is going to go down and he is going to lift that four-wheeler out of the water. So, you good to go? All right, here he goes. So, Trooper Eberl does not have a VC. What he has is a dry suit. That dry suit that he is wearing, it has air in it that allows him to either float or he can let the air out and he will sink. So, good job, Greg. Good job. Now you gotta remain focused here. You got a job to do. You remember what that job is? Okay, let's see what the job is. Oh yeah, yes. You need to take that four-wheeler and you need to lift it up. All right, so the way that we will lift this four-wheeler up is Greg is not strong enough to lift this four-wheeler up. So what he will do is he will use the power of science, physics, in order to get this up. He will make that buoyant. And so he puts a lift bag and he's going to attach that lift bag to the four-wheeler. And then he will add air with his little air tool that's attached to his helmet. And he will add air, and as the air gets added to the bag, you will see buoyancy do its job, and that will lift the four-wheeler. Now, as that goes up, the diver gets out of the way. That's right. You keep an eye on it, because equipment can fail. And so what goes up, if equipment fails, will come back down. Okay? Hey, Jamie, how are you? All right, so good job, Greg. He's very, very happy. Let's see some dance moves, Greg. Yeah, no, he's not into the dance. Okay. What? Oh, there you go. All right. Very good. All right, so that's just a little demonstration here of some of the things that we do. We also do swift water rescue, and we get to use airboats, and you know, it's just a lot of stuff besides dive that's getting added to our responsibilities. And so I think, Sarge, you have something to say?
Yeah, I just want to take a moment to recognize these guys for what they do on a daily basis, whether it's in training or a real recovery mission. Every single time that they go underwater, they're risking their lives to service the people of the state of New York and bring closure to families and help solve cases. So if you could please all join me in thanking these guys for what they do on a daily basis. Thanks, guys.
All right, thank you. Now, I don't know if anybody wants to, if any of the kids or the adults, if you want to take a picture over here with Trooper Eberl. He is a great poser, and he will stand behind you, and you're more than welcome to cross these lines here, go over there and get your picture taken. Other than that, it has been a pleasure to be your guide on this underwater adventure, and the next show that is up will be SORT, where they will be flying through the air. So have a great day at the New York State Fair. Thank you.